Hello! In today's video, I will be talking about dodging and burning and share 3 non-destructive methods on how to dodge and burn. Let's get started. So, what is dodging and burning? In a nutshell, it is shaping subjects by playing with light. By making specific areas darker or lighter, you can add the feeling of depth. So it's about enhancing your composition to create a more engaging photo. Let me demonstrate the idea and share 3 ways on how this can be achieved on these 2 flat gray circles. The first method I'm going to apply on the larger circle is, as I like to call it, the soft light paint method. You will create an empty layer and set its blend mode to soft light. The nice thing about soft light blend mode is that everything that is 50% gray will have no effect on the layer below. So if we paint with less than 50% gray, closer to the white, it will brighten, and if we paint with more than 50% gray, closer to the black, it will darken. While I'm applying this, you can immediately see the effect of dodging and burning. By adding shadows and highlights, we create the feeling of depth, and the flat circle now becomes a sphere. One disadvantage of this soft light paint method is that you will need to switch colors of your brush when you switch from brighten to darken and vice versa. To remove the effect on a specific area because you made a mistake can be done by using the Erase Brush tool. Next, my favorite and most used method, the double curves as I call it. Let me apply this method on the smaller circle. In this method, we add 2 adjustment layers, one to darken the image and another to lighten the image. Next, we invert its mask with Command I. As the curves layers have a mask by default, you can use your masking techniques to darken or lighten the areas. To fix some errors you made, just like with a regular mask, you can paint with black to restore it. A big advantage of this method is that you can independently modify the respective curves layers to adjust the brightness or darkness levels if needed, like I'm doing right now. I just modify the curves to get the desired darkness in this case. Well, to be honest, it's not a very big advantage. In the first method, the soft light paint, you can also do this by adding a curves layer to the pixel layer and adjusting it to your needs. Now let me share the third method, which I never use by the way. However, you will see this in a lot of tutorials, the gray fill method. This is in a way very similar to the first method, but instead of using the paintbrush, we can use the burn and dodge tools in Affinity Photo itself. We create a new layer, fill it with 50% gray and change the blend mode to soft light. Now with the burn tool, we can highlight the areas we want, and by pressing the Alt key, the tool switches to burn, which will darken the areas we paint. In this method, if you make a mistake, you can use the standard brush tool with 50% gray to remove the effect. The reason why I don't like the first and the last method is that it uses soft light blend mode. The soft light blend mode, depending on the situation, affects your colors and feels unnatural from time to time. The curves method gives you much more control and flexibility in my honest opinion. Now let's look at a practical example. This photo looks amazing already, but by using the dodge and burn, we can make the photo much more interesting. So let's start by adding our curves layer and invert them. Now it is time to bring in more shadows and highlights. I feel like if we darken the right side of our face and make the contrast between shadow and highlight stronger, it will make the photo much more impactful. So let me apply the shadows on our right side and then continue by adding the highlights on the left side where the light is already coming from. Now it really feels like she's standing in a bright sun, which really suits this photo. As you might have watched my previous video, I love blend options. So let's adjust the blend options so that the brightened areas apply only on the bright areas and the darkening applies only to the dark areas of the photo. As you can see, by adjusting the blend options, we can also control the amount of the effect. When you made mistakes, you can always alt-click on the curves layer to see the mask and fix accordingly by painting with black to remove the effect. Okay, let me fix some problem areas first and adjust the curves layer for fine-tuning. To finish up, let's increase the brightness of the hair in the sun to give it a bit of a more golden look. Now the before and the after. I think the after gives a much more interesting photo. It feels much more mystical, and going back to the original, you can see it looks quite flat compared with the after. To wrap up this video, I burned and dodged this image 3 times and put them next together for comparison. On the right we have our curves method, next to it, in the middle, the paint method, and on the right the gray fill method. Let me turn them all on and compare. I think the curves method works best because, as I mentioned, it uses a normal blend mode and keeps the colors much more natural. If we zoom in and look at the shadows, you can see that the curves method definitely did a much better job. I hope this video has been informative to you, and thanks for watching.